Hi everybody, and welcome to another iWoofs. Today we'll be talking about something I noticed. I just came back from Peru, actually.
Like you.
Hike to Machu Picchu.
Yeah.
Thanks to my very wonderful job here at Dog Star Daily and James Kenneth with some
flex time.
Some flex time.
Some vacation time.
But I was in Cusco, and there are a ton of stray dogs there, and all sorts of different breeds and stuff, and they were all running around, and it seemed like they were all getting along really nicely. And I know you guys have also done lots of traveling to, developing countries, and I was curious to hear what you've seen in terms of stray dogs in other countries.
Yeah, it's a couple of things. It's not just developing countries. I've seen it in Barcelona. I've seen it in
Mexico City.
And
really? Costa Rica.
Right in downtown environments as well, and including Cusco, where I thought it was a very cool scene. The dogs all seemed very happy and healthy. I think we should
see it in ski towns in the US.
Point out that stray doesn't necessarily mean homeless in a lot of these places.
Oh, right. Yeah. The latchkey dogs, a lot of them.
These are in Cusco. I noticed that there were a ton of purebreds that were
unattended or unsupervised, I guess.
No, I mean stray. I mean you used the right word. Stray is stray in a sense, right? They're roaming, but free roaming dogs don't necessarily mean homeless dogs. In some cases, I've watched village dogs that really are semi-feral or feral, and then in other cases they are definitely pet dogs that just get to run free.
Right.
But the common denominator is
they seem to get along.
And in most of these cities and developing countries, most of the animals are intact. Yes.
Yeah.
And you come here to the U.S. and we have so many fighting problems, and not just with intact dogs because we don't really have.
Not that many intact dogs around, no.
But just actually, let's say we have more problems with our altered animals than they do with their intact animals. And I wonder, is there anything to that? I've always wondered.
You mean anything to what?
To the idea that when they're altered early, does that affect their behavioral development? That's my question out of this. Maybe have different ones.
There's not really much evidence to show that happens in dogs. In other mammals, yes, like cats, a huge difference. If you do a prepubertal castration of top cats, massive change in behavior, but it's where dogs are very unique, and a lot of the secondary sexual characteristics, including aggression, are emancipated from testosterone, meaning testosterone in adulthood is not necessary. That a castrated male dog can still hump, he can still mount, he can still mate, he can still lift his leg when he pees, he's still interested in estrus urine, and he still fights. What it does alter, though, is the behavior of other dogs. So if you castrate the dog, he'll be less of a target for other dogs to harass, especially other male dogs.
I actually wondered if that contributed to the abundance of kind of Tarzan crazy dogs that we have in parks and such right now. So for instance, Dune, who is intact, he got jumped a lot when he was an adolescent dog. He got a lot of lessons when we were out at parks, when we were out on trails. He was a target, and you can talk about that. But if you are altering all these other male dogs that have all these characteristics that you talked about that are still there even though they're altered, and they don't get that opportunity to have that kind of put into check.
No one's targeting them, and
no
so maybe they become.
Maybe they never get those lessons.
I think if you have two things, if you have a pushy young male puppy or a bully, and he's in a puppy class that's the same age, you're manufacturing a fighting dog. It's what you're doing.
Social crate,
and you castrate him. And with a number of puppies, I've said to the owners, well, I would hold off on castrating him for a year. Take him to lots of dog parks. He needs to learn. He can't run up to every dog. He can't just run up to every dog. He'll be into big trouble one day if he runs up to an unsocialized dog.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very big effect that this total over the board castration these days. The young puppies, especially males, aren't getting the lessons
overboard
that we saw.
Early castration.
Yeah.
You're saying.
Yeah. I would say definitely before 8 months. I would like to see them on for a year.
Yeah.
At what age can they start having children?
5.5.
So if
months.
you leave them on, you do have to be very aware.
Oh, Lord, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That
And
seems
this
like
is
that would
what
add a
I mean-
huge management
And we're
component.
not talking so much even about the female side of it. If you continue early spay, you won't have that problem. And I'm sure there's behavioral issues. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe it's
No,
not
not
such
really.
an issue.
No. Well, the male thing, it's enormous.
The males maybe should wait longer than
Yeah,
the
if you have
females, which should be
testicles
done.
growing up, you get a total different education than if you don't.
That's what I saw with
And you
him.
won't, yeah.
I know it's just one example, but it was so tremendously different than
It's
any
nothing
other.
like the N of 1.
Oh, come on, I know.
That's how
but-
people sell programs. Yeah, but my dog, and I want to sell the program now because Dune, what a charming, wonderful,
here, you probably
sociable
can't see
dog
him.
he is. Raise a paw, Dune. Yeah, he's sleeping. But I think back to the original question, I think there's two reasons why these packs of dogs, like in Santiago and Mexico City and Cusco,
Barcelona. So
Barcelona,
sophisticated, I remember.
they get on for two reasons. One, the puppies enter the group. The group has its fixed culture, and you come in with a puppy. Well, who are you going to push around as a puppy? So you're the lowest rung on the ladder, and everyone's teaching you lessons. And they're not, I'm not saying we get this dominance, no. An adult dog will just look and go,
Well, it's just like spending the
And-
afternoon with your grandparents or at a family reunion.
absolutely,
Or
absolutely.
in just living in a big
Yeah.
family, right?
But what's fascinating is what these dogs teach the puppies. Like, remember Claude, when he taught that
He was
little Malinois to sit stay, stand stay, down stay? We have it all on video. And he didn't do anything nasty, didn't growl. He just would look at him and go, and the puppy sits and slows down. They must learn you don't run up to another dog. First you avert your gaze, then you acknowledge your lower rank, then you ask for permission, and then usually there's a play session. So I would say that's happening naturally when you have these groups, because the puppy come into the formed group. The second big thing, of course, is human intervention. And this is where people create the problem. If ever there were a more blatant case of negative classical conditioning, whereby owners teach dogs to be scared of other dogs and not to like other dogs, it's your average owner with the average dog.
Or maybe your average American owner of the average.
No, I've seen it in countries around the world. It's as soon as you change that dog from being off leash in the pack to being on leash next to a human, they get a lot of behaviors get unintentionally reinforced. And we have a predictable timetable here. Like I said, going back to the research again, everything's hunky-dory. We go to puppy class, the puppy's friendly. They give up on the classical conditioning because the puppy's friendly. They think they've done it, they haven't. 6 months, their dog is jumped, and it all goes to hell in a handbasket, because now when the person sees the other dog come up, they panic and the dog
Well,
senses
as
it.
we know, puppy class is a great foundation, but it is just the beginning, the tip of the iceberg, and people do, as you say, sometimes think they've completed their education just when they've
Yeah.
only just begun. But as you know, in adolescence, as you've said many times even today, everything starts to change. And I know that people get so freaked out when their puppy doesn't just even sit or come for the first time, let alone the first time that they might growl or spook at something or act a little assertively towards another animal. I think they suddenly panic and they don't know how to ride through that transition.
It's
which is
never
why-
happened before.
No, and
It's never
the
done
whole
that.
world comes crashing
Yeah.
down, and they don't. I think we have to do a better job as a community. I don't mean not just us. Of explaining to people that education does need to continue. That's why our puppy too is probably the most important class that we have.
Yeah.
And that socialization must continue, and that you must ride out this mini storm before
I
it becomes a real hurricane.
Yeah, I think you're making probably the most important point you can make in terms of raising a dog. That people think that what happens in adolescence is, well, that's unfortunate. Oh dear, that's unusual. No. Here's the deal. In adolescence, everything is going to crash and burn. Your dog will start fighting, he will become fearful, and he will start to ignore you as he develops his own interest. That is the norm. And everything that we do in puppyhood is to prevent that.
Or at least
from
give some
happening.
cushioning, not to prevent it
Yeah.
from happening, but to lessen it and help you bring them back around faster.
I would say we socialise in neonatally, so we can socialise later on. We go to puppy class, so we can go to the dog park. We go to the dog park, so we can work in the real world. Socialisation is so we can continue socialising.
And behavior is always in motion, and you must continue to maintain any behavior that you want.
It always changes, even human behaviour.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Sorry.
Behavior never stays the same. Trust me, it's always changing from day to day.
All right, sounds good.
It's a good one.
Well, thanks for listening.
Thanks, guys.
Bye bye.
See you.